Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where we talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Whiskey Cavalier. A great episode. A lot of interesting things went down in this episode. I do like that the episode's kind of split between two different things. Like, obviously, there's everything where it's like, oh yeah, like, Will is crossing paths with an old buddy of his, Jimmy. They were obviously in the military together, but turns out Jimmy's kind of a slimeball because the fact of the matter is, even back then, he was a good soldier and everything, but he'd also, like, you know, do a lot of slimy stuff. And for Will, it's like he confronted him, and that led to one of his units getting attacked, but Jimmy was able to kind of get, you know, away from it scot-free. And so for the past 16 years, he's been rising through the ranks, just continuing to be a scumbag. And for Will, it just pisses him off. And I love Frankie being like, oh, you actually have someone you hate? He's like, no, I don't hate him. I just want his life to end in a very painful way. And then Frankie's like, ooh, because she really likes, because Will is hey, I like everybody. And to see him actually hate someone, it was kind of like, ugh. And she's like, you hate him. He's like, no, I don't hate him. I hate him. I hate him so much. And Frankie's like, yes. I even love it because it's like he's Will's nemesis. I even love Ray being like, hey, look, Will's got a different nemesis that isn't me. Ha ha ha. And everyone turns to him and looks like, shut up, Ray. And Standish being like, yo, dude, I want a nemesis. And, you know, Frankie being like, it's like a nickname. You can't force it. But Edgar does get a nemesis this episode, Todd, because Todd's the dude that Edgar apparently just stole his desk. He's like, I was on sabbatical and you just came in, took whatever you want. To be fair, you have to think about the fact is literally no one else in the building told him, like, oh, yeah, that's Todd's desk. Because probably it's not that big of a deal, but Todd being territorial, I'm looking at it being like, oh, Americans, and I love him putting on a country accent. It's like, oh, and them potato chips? Let me get that, like, you know. Which is funny. It makes you wonder, do other countries look at that? Like, when they think of an American accent, is that the typical accent that they go with? Like, oh, like, they take a Southern accent and kind of associate that with all American. I mean, it might not even be a Southern accent. I guess you could make the argument maybe kind of like a stereotypical Southern, maybe Texas accent. Nevertheless, I love it. And even Edgar's like, oh my God, I got me a nemesis. And even later on, like, he's like, you guys think, you know, Tina's like way out of my level, which I'll get to that in a second. But, the whole thing of Todd being like, I'll answer for all women in the world. Yes. And Edgar's like, I mean, you can't blame him. I mean, he's really good at being a nemesis. But I love, like, obviously, like, but going back to it, it's like, I almost skipped over it too. Like, the actor who plays Jimmy is the actor who plays Bunchy in Ray Donovan. I was like, oh, dude, that's so cool. But I also love the little nod in this episode, just kind of a little joke throughout the entire episode is Jay's nose. Because even Ray's like, oh, what's happened to Jay's nose? It's like, you guys told me it wasn't that big of a deal. And because even early on, he's like, no, you're fine. And it's like, he got wrecked. And even later on, he admits he put on makeup to kind of cover up the whole situation. But nevertheless. But it's interesting to see this side of Will, kind of like him having a personal vendetta against someone like that. To be fair, it's all for the right reasons. But I do love that this episode brought about this interesting thing where it's like Will and Frankie spent some time together. They're like drinking wine, having laughs, obviously a massage for his shoulder, stuff like that. I even love it later on, Frankie being like, dude, like nothing happened. Like, what did you think was going to happen if Emma hadn't showed up? And he was like, nothing. It's like, you literally look at the whole situation. Even I'm kind of getting nervous for him. Like, yo, you and Frankie getting a little too comfortable, even though this is what I want. But still, it kind of sucks with the whole Emma situation. Because it was interesting because obviously Ray went out of his way to make it so that Emma got put on the mission as Will, just so they could spend time together, which obviously Will didn't appreciate because it's like, that's sucky. He's like, he's trying not to smile because for one, he don't want to appreciate anything that Ray does for him, but also it's just because he knows how it would piss off Emma. But for him, it's like, hey, at the very least, you know, we can spend time together. But Emma's like, the fact of the matter is it minimizes my job because it makes it seem like, oh, what you do is more important to me. And it took Susan and Frankie kind of putting that in perspective for him to kind of realize it. But lo and behold, she showed up on a mission anyway. They kind of backed him up and she's looking like, oh, what happened here? And like Frankie's like, oh, we were just doing, you know, work. And then you have Will being like, oh, you know, fake jam. I have to tell you the whole story later because even he felt awkward about it. And he's like, we should tell, you know, Emma about what happened. And Frank is like, literally nothing happened. It was just two colleagues, you know, drinking and then like a necessary massage and everything. And I love that. Because even Frankie and Emma are kind of awkward around each other. It's just this super awkwardness about it. But it turns out later on, Will told her, even though Frankie told her not to. I thought that was a trap. I literally thought that was a trap. I thought it was going to be a thing of like, oh man, Frankie's the one that told Emma. And I thought Will actually followed her advice and didn't. So I figured it was going to blow up in her face. I figured it was something like Emma just kind of pieced it all together herself because she's very good at what she does. But it's like, no, Will ended up telling her, which, you know, in the grand scheme of things is honesty is the best policy, and that's just who, Will is. He's Boy Scout and everything like that. I love because she finds that very annoying about him, because for her, she doesn't like putting, the whole conversation is like, oh, she doesn't like putting stuff out on the table. She likes to kind of burying it deep, which I can kind of get behind that too, because I'm the type of person that does the same thing. I wish I could be more like Will, but in my own personal life, I feel I'm a lot like Frankie in a regard. Not to the same regard that every aspect about her, where she just, I love it where it's like they were knocking those two guys out, and Will was like, okay, let's just strangle them and knock them out. And then Frankie just bashed the dude's head against the wall, and then I punched him a couple times, and he's like, why do you have to make things so complicated? She's like, I don't know. Frankie just likes to go her own way with things. But it is kind of interesting, and you can definitely tell Emma was probably picking up on it a little bit. The fact is, Frankie knows Will so well, because the fact of the matter is, because obviously they get away with the plutonium and everything, but it was bothering Will because it's like, that piece of crap Jimmy's just going to keep getting away with it. But when the time came, Frankie set up the whole deal so that Jimmy will reveal himself so they can finally take him down, because it's like, the fact is, because for her, it's like, this is a guy that Will, the dude who loves everyone, is kind of okay with everyone, makes an effort with everyone, hates Jimmy. That tells you how much of a scumbag he is. And lo and behold, when it's all said and done, they were able to take him down. But I'm surprised Will didn't mess him up sooner, just because he was like, oh, that partner of yours, yeah, I'm gonna kill her after you. And you can tell it was bothering Will, especially because it's like, this is a family of sorts, so it's like, of course, he's gonna be bothered anytime someone threatens him, but especially because it's like, your feelings for Frankie range a little bit above anyone else's on the team. Your feelings for her are higher than they are for anyone else on the team. So I'm surprised. There was part of me that was actually not surprised he had just actually put Jimmy down there. I thought that was going to be an incident where we go like, whoa, but it's like, no, Will is who he is, but he does land that blow on him. I am curious the way they set that up. I mean, that is quote unquote his arch nemesis. So I think we could potentially see more with Jimmy in the future. I think it'd be kind of cool, especially because Jimmy's like, I should have put into you a long time ago, and now Will's following the more moral code. That probably something later on is going to push him over the edge, so he goes down the route with Frankie. That might be something we see where it's like Will has a choice to do it, but he does it, and Frankie does it for him instead, because it's like, I'm gonna do these things that you can't do, because I don't want you to kind of that to be on your conscience, that kind of weigh you down. It's like, me, I've done this before. If I have to get my hands dirty for Will's sake or anyone else's sake, I think she would. So I think that might be something we could potentially see. Maybe that's just I just think it would be interesting, but nevertheless. So there is that side of things. And on the other side of things, you have Tina asking Edgar out. And he's like, wait. He's like, what? Did it just happen? I love that. And I love that we got Tina so soon, too. After I was like, oh, we get to see her more. And it's like, she's literally in the next episode. I love it. It's so interesting because I was like, oh, yeah, I hope we get more of Emma. And lo and behold, Emma is there. So... Now, I figured the way they were kind of making it seem like, oh, there's something bubbling between them that we could definitely see more of her, and lo and behold, we do. So I'm hoping we get to see more of Tina too. But I love it. Everyone's helping out. Ray, even though no one literally asked Ray to show up, but Susan and Jay are trying to help out with everything. They gathered up so much information. I'm like, oh wait, Susan's like, oh yeah, I'm from Brooklyn, and Tina's like, so is me. She's like, if I knew you were from Brooklyn, I wouldn't have choked you out like that. And she's like, no, it's okay. And then it's like, Jay, she's like, I went to see Wu-Tang 5 times. I'm like, oh. She's like, you don't know who Wu-Tang is. He's like, no, I listen to show tunes. And then Ray's like, Jay's not gay. He's straight. It's like, oh, I was going to hook him up with my friend Ken. And it's like, oh, but who is pretty awesome is, Edgar. Standish. He's so fun. He's so smart. He's ripped. And it's like, do you want to... Maybe I should hook you up. You want to hang out with my friend Ken? And he's like, sure. And he gets a text later. He's like, hey. That was just a text, from Ken. He's my new friend. Which is like, hey, we know that Ray doesn't actually have that many friends. Will was kind of his only friend. Now we've seen him kind of branch out with the rest of the team. Obviously, there's still kind of the kinks of everything, but I think everyone's kind of warming up to him, obviously. So it's nice to see, hey, he's got a good friend outside of all of this. Obviously, he ends up telling Standish the wrong thing of being like, hey, she usually dates kind of alpha dudes. So Standish is there acting so cool and be like, yo... It's super the opposite of who he is, just because, and I can understand that too, the aspect of you're scared around someone that's super pretty, and the fact is they're awesome in every way, and you just want to do whatever you can to be off on the right foot, you want things to kind of click, so you kind of be someone that you're not necessarily. I can totally understand that. I've done it myself plenty of times, you know. So I thought it's a story you can go like, oh, it sucks that things literally crashed and burned like that. Because I love Jay being like, I can't listen to this anymore because it's so cringy, but I can't stop myself from listening. Poor Standish. But lo and behold, Susan hooked things up to make it so that they got another chance, him and Tina, which is interesting because I'm sure that mission that he took, because it was like, oh, it was something that Ray kind of helped facilitate, because like she's like, thanks for doing that, and then Ray's like, well, you literally told me you'd beat me up if I didn't do it for you. And she's like, still doesn't change the fact I'm very appreciative of it. But it's I think we're going to find out next time is that was actually a mission Todd was supposed to be on. I mean, well, yeah, because I think it really was like a surveillance job, but I think they took it from Todd, and I bet you that's just going to fuel the fire between Todd and Edgar. I love it. I'd love to see that nemesis rivalry kind of like, you know, build up. But it was also an interesting episode too, because we see like Edgar. Not just Edgar and Tina, which they hit it off. I love it. Like, she's like really into what he's doing and stuff like that. She's like, oh, is it this and this? And he's like, okay. It's like, no, it's a little mix of both. And it's like he turns off the power grid and everything, but it's like they're definitely hitting it all. And I love Susan's reasoning for it, because she wants everything to work out for everyone around them, because obviously after her divorce, she kind of felt like, because obviously that's probably something that Frankie kind of feels too. Like, the fact is that this life isn't something you can have that type of relationship. Well, obviously with each other, just because, like in Frankie's case, it's like we can't be together, me and you will, just because it would compromise. Like, we need to have each other's back fully. We got to put the team and saving the world first. Or in Susan's case, it's just like marrying someone who's probably outside of this world. Probably in this world either, it would complicate your lives, but probably more so when they're not part of this world, because there's a lot of your life you can't share with them. You probably have to be away from them a lot. Like, it's a complicated thing. And for Susan, she wants to know that, hey, maybe, you know, things work out, that there is love out there, you know, that things can work out for people in there. Kind of give her hope. And, you know, Ray gives some good advice, though it came from his good buddy Ken, because, you know, he's very positive, but basically like, yeah, it works out. Just like in our cases, it will just take a little more effort. And that, which makes me go, are we setting up the whole Susan and Ray thing? I mean, to be fair, amongst the team, Susan and Ray were the ones who kind of bonded first. Like, she was the first one to kind of really start being like, nah, Ray's good. So I think that might be something we're seeing. It seems like that's something they might be hinting to. It'd be kind of interesting if that was the case. But when it's all said and done, you do have Frankie being like happy that things kind of work out. You know, it's like, oh, like things are kind of annoying about Will being so honest, but she actually likes that aspect about him, that he tells people the truth and everything like that. You know, he's annoyingly honest and stuff like that. She admires that about him, which even Jay's like, that's annoying all on its own, but the fact is that you admire that about him is also annoying. She's like, yeah, I know. And they're all gathered around drinking wine and everything like that. So it's like, yay, nice work, team. So I thought that was pretty neat. Once again, it's just, you know, it's just kind of that awkward, weird thing of like, yeah, like I think Frankie and Will, you know, are trying that normal aspect of trying to just be friends, having each other's back and being partners. You know, it's just going to complicate things later on. Who knows? Maybe Frankie will find that someone for her. And then that would probably in itself complicate things between her and Will, whether he really realizes it or not. I don't know. Like, obviously, like I said, I always feel shitty about it, because like I said, it's just that thing of like, you want certain people to be together, and then it's like, but you don't want things to kind of end bad between him and Emma. But it's like, if it means that him and Frankie get together, then lo and behold, like I said, it's just that thing of like, this is the obvious couple, you know? So it's just depending on how they want to go about getting them their potential. Who knows? Maybe they'll twist it up and be like, no, they never get together, even though they kind of have this bond and everything, that they just stay friends. I highly doubt that, but we'll just ultimately have to wait and see. But overall, like I said, it was just a great and fun episode. I'm very excited to see what the next episode has in store for us. But really, that's all I'm going to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.